Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to go back to the conversation that we were having about natural gas, and I appreciate your statement, Mr. Secretary, that something to the effect of energy insecurity of our allies impacts our national security here. And I think you pretty much said that when you issued the license for Jordan Cove last month. The text of the order provides, to the extent U.S. exports can diversify global LNG supplies and increase the volumes of LNG available globally, it will improve energy security for many U.S. allies and trading partners. As such, authorizing U.S. exports may advance the public interest for reasons that are distinct from and additional to the economic benefits identified in the LNG export study. I think that pretty much speaks to the role that we can play here in this country when it comes to our exports, and a recognition that we can be doing so much more for others. Two questions for you. Do you have any plans to spend additional department resources on commissioning yet another LNG export study, or are we done?
We are always re-examining the situation.
Well, re-examining is different than what we did with the export study.
Well, so I think we will have to reach a decision as to whether we feel, as we re-examine, as you know, a criterion that was set out in 2012, I believe, is to look at impacts with cumulative potential exports. And so we continue to look at supply data. We continue to look at demand data. For example, there's obviously domestically been an enormous increase in manufacturing there. So we keep making these judgments, and I can't say whether or not that would lead us to say at some point we need a more formal updating of the analyses that we currently have.
Well, it is something that, again, you've laid the case out pretty clearly, I think, in this license for the conditional license for Jordan Cove. I would hope that we would continue on with the issuance of these licenses in a manner that is expeditious, that we don't pause, that we don't spend resources, additional resources on yet more studies. You had mentioned the process that DOE currently has in place regarding the licenses. The licensing came about in 2012, and you and I have had a limited opportunity to talk about what flexibility you might have as Secretary to streamline the permitting process even further. You mentioned a little bit in your comments to Senator Hoeven. I have very little time because I have to rush out to the vote here, but I would hope that you would look to whether or not there is a possibility to do some reordering within the queue. It is something that, while this process was set up in 2012 within the department, it was not set up through legislation. It appears that you would have a certain amount of authority that if the administration recognizes, as you did with the license in Jordan Cove, that this is truly advancing the public interest in moving forward with U.S. exports. It's something that I would hope that you would be considering as you are weighing these licenses and applications in front of you.
Again, we're very, very happy to come in and complete our discussions and with other colleagues here in the Senate to see how we might go forward. Right now, as we discussed, there is a fairness issue in the sense that a specific ordering was established in 2012, and it does imply some level of obligation, I suppose.
Let me go to my next question, because this is something that I have asked every Cabinet Secretary as I've had an opportunity in these appropriations hearings, is to inquire within your department and the budget that is presented, how you will seek to comply with the administration's implementation plan for the national strategy on the Arctic region. DOE is listed as the lead agency for 3 programs. You've got renewable energy resources, climate predictions, and integration of Arctic regional models. You're also the supporting agency for other projects. So what I'd like to know is what funding is included within the department's budget for the 3 programs where you are lead agency, as well as any other projects that that the department is involved with. My concern is we're saying good things about Arctic, but we're not seeing that translated into the budget that has come down from the President. And if we're going to say the Arctic is a priority, we have to match resources to the message.
Much of the work that we would do, for example, on some of the modeling is kind of part of the ongoing programs. But with regard to things like R&D, for example, I charged the National Petroleum Council to do a study on what the government, what DOE might do in terms of R&D specifically for the Arctic. So we will get that report back later on this year.
Perhaps if you and I can have some sit down to talk about Arctic strategy. I also have some questions for the record.
Sure.
Relating to marine hydrokinetic, as I spill my water all over me, and geothermal, marine hydrokinetic. It's got great resource. It'll get me moving. Methane hydrates, geothermal, and some other areas that are of particular concern to us in Alaska.
Be happy to discuss those.
Thank you.